Hey guys, this is Sandy White from Simply Fit, your #1 health and wellness cheerleader and your #1 advocate. I want to make sure that you guys meet, exceed, and do everything that you are thinking of to meet your health and wellness goals. So we've gotten permission from wytv7 Community Broadcasters Network to give you guys a free 30-minute consultation. So go onto the website, wytv7.org, click on the broadcasters button, scroll down until you see Simply Fit, and then make your selection by sending an email or filling out the application saying, hey, I want a 30-minute free consultation. So with that being said, I always want to thank wytv7 for allowing Simply Fit to be on their platform for another season. Guys, we're on a mission to save 1 million lives, and we like to do that by simply providing you all with simple tips and strategies so that you can overcome suicide and depression and meet all of your health and wellness goals. If you're not meeting those goals, they do trigger into other areas. So we want to make sure the stress is down. We want to make sure that the changes that we're suggesting to you guys, they can be as natural as possible so you can continue to do them on a regular basis. So with that being said, on today's segment, we're talking about if your night is right, your day will be better. And what do I mean? Yes, it could mean you're intimate with your spouse, but it goes beyond that. So what I'm saying is, in the morning time, this is how you want to start it out. You want to have a nice, comfortable breakfast to the point where you have a comfortable fullness, not a stuffed fullness. And then for lunch, you're eating half of what you ate for breakfast. And then for dinner, it's half of what you ate for lunch. And in between meals, I'm going to suggest that you do bone broth. Bone broth is going to cut your cravings and it's going to keep you satisfied. Now think about, because you're saying, why would I drink bone broth? You drink it every time you do chicken noodle soup. The only difference is you're eating those processed carbohydrated noodles. You're not making them yourself. And even if you're making your chicken noodle soup at home, you're taking the noodles out of a bag. You're not making it yourself. So what we want to suggest to you is large meal, half of that large meal, which was your breakfast, for your lunch. Half of what you have for lunch for dinner. So between 4:30 and 5, you shouldn't be eating anymore. And your in-between snacks should be bone broth. But first thing in the morning when you wake up and you're getting your day started, you should be on a regiment of intermitting fasting. So what I mean by that, yes, you've gotten up and you can drink some water so you can stay hydrated. But from the time you wake up till about 12 noon, you shouldn't be having solid foods. It's either water or bone broth. And think about it. If you follow this, and I'm suggesting to you guys, just do this for one day. And I guarantee that if you eat the way I said and you do the bone broth in between your meals, you will not be hungry and you will be satisfied. And from there, you'll be able to stick to this plan on a 21-day challenge, and then you can do that beyond. But bone broth is going to help your immune system. It's going to help reduce inflammation in your body. And here's the thing, when you have too much inflammation in your body, it does mess with your hair follicles. It can mess with, when I say mess with your hair follicles, it's mess with them and they're going to fall out. So we don't want to have that. That causes stress with people, just like we just saw on, if you guys saw the Oscars, Jada is dealing with alopecia, and that's an attack on the immune system. And that's what inflammation does. It attacks your immune system, but it attacks it in different ways. And she's got a different one other than what I just suggested. But having inflammation will affect your hair. It will affect the way that you think, because now your brain is somewhat unnecessarily swollen and it's not getting the oxygen that you need. So you start the morning out like that and you continue, and that's what I've been doing for the last couple of days. Big breakfast, half of that for lunch, half of that for dinner. Between 4:30 and 5:30, I'm no longer eating. And in between, I'm doing the bone broth. And after 5:30, if I get hungry, I'm doing the bone broth. By 8:30, I'm ready to go to bed. But I haven't put anything heavy on my stomach, because when you eat late at night and you have something heavy on your stomach, then you're now going to be put in a position where you're going to be tossing and turning, and you're not going to get a good night's sleep because your stomach is too full and you're just going to feel uncomfortable. And now here's another way that when you cook, you can use avocado oil. That's going to help reduce inflammation. It's going to make your food taste great. And if you have to use oil that can stand high heat, this is going to be the best one. Now, all of the canola oils and the sunflower oils, I'm telling you, those will cause inflammation if you didn't realize it. Like you got achy joints, your fingers are hurting, stuff like that. Stop using them. Use avocado oil. And you want to also use regular avocados as well, fresh avocados. And now, I mentioned when you get up in the morning time, you're supposed to be hydrated. You can get a bottle like this, or you can get a cute bottle like this, where it tells you, hey, 8 through 8 in the morning, what you need to be drinking. We just need you to stay hydrated. So I don't care if your bottle is pretty, cute, ugly, long as you can do what you need to do. Now, we're at the end of our day, and well, actually, before we get to the end of our day, say this is at lunchtime. You can do your greens for lunch or for dinner. And now, because some people are like, I don't got time to be eating no greens, whatever. These are flash dried, ground, and now they're powder wise. And make sure it's organic. Make sure it doesn't have any additional sugar. This one is 20 raw superfoods and probiotics. If you can find one with probiotics and prebiotics, that's helping you correct your gut health. When your gut health is on point, you're going to the restroom like you're supposed to. If it ain't coming out, it ain't coming off. So you gotta have that bowel movement so you can lose the weight. And now these are beets. I like the beets because these are down to a powder as well. Now, if you don't want to use regular beets that you can get from the store, just make sure you get an organic beetroot that does not have extra sugar in it. And you can take that, mix it with the greens, and you can have that before your lunch if you're like, I don't want to eat a salad. But you could do that, and then you could have a piece of salmon or chicken or anything that's going to be light and not super heavy. You can have a steak. Just make sure it's portion size. Portion size for me is this. Your hands may be smaller or larger, but portion size for each one of us is going to be different. That's why at the beginning of the segment, I told you guys, if you want a game plan where we give you all a 30-minute free consultation, it's going to be different for everybody because everybody's different. This is not a one and done and then boom, I can follow the same plan that my sister's following. No, because her needs and nutritional challenges are going to be different than mine. But say, okay, you're like, I'm going down, it's 12 noon, I've been doing this intermitting fasting, I need some food. I'm going to suggest that you don't go and eat like immediately at 12 noon because again, you're going to be hungry, but not super hungry if you're doing the bone broth. But the reason I tell you to do that, that's the worst thing to do, is not be prepared and you're hungry. Now you're going to mess up because you're going to eat any and everything. But what I'm going to suggest is that you do your B12 shot. Now, you may not want to, and taking vitamins on an empty stomach is a horrible, horrible idea. You're going to get sick. So don't do it. But how you can do your vitamins is in a liquid form. And this is a B12 shot. So you could do your beets, your greens, and your B12 shot right before you eat. And then you could do a nice salad if you still want to do it. Or you can do some brown rice with some salmon and make sure you cook it in the avocado oil. Now, if you're like, I don't want anything heavy on my stomach and here's the thing before I say what I'm going to say. You can eat oatmeal breakfast, lunch, or dinner. because it depends on how you make it. You can make your oatmeal where you layer it at night, and then when you get up in the morning time, because you could do the refrigerated one where you don't have to use the water and boil it and all of that wonderful stuff, and then it looks so pretty in the morning because you're laying your oatmeal, putting your fruits and in between them, and then you're adding your oat milk or whatever you want on there, adding a little bit of cinnamon in there for taste. Or you could do Quaker. They make oatmeal that, this doesn't have too much sugar in it, but the whole thing here is, yeah, no, it doesn't have too much sugar. It's a little more than you should for this particular one. But if you're active, you're good to go. But if you're not active, that added sugar is going to be horrible for you. And I would also say, even if you are super active, it's horrible because sugar ages you quicker than you should. So I'm just showing you that you can make your own. You don't have to use Quaker. If you make your own oatmeal, you can add your own nuts. They have walnut in here, raisins, and dates. So a lot of times I like to go to the grocery store. I check out I like it, but then I'm looking at the sugar content. Like this one is pretty high. So they added sugar, and added sugar is horrible. It already has 27 grams for the carbohydrates, and then they added 11 more grams of sugar. We don't even want that. So what you could do is make your own. You can see what they're doing, and you can add your own dates, your own raisins, which is going to help you have a good bowel movement. And then you can add your own walnuts. That's so easy. And also this is considered processed. So make your own. And then you have less chances of having additional challenges with inflammation. Make your own. You can do it at night. You can leave it dry. You can make it where it's going to be nice and moist for you and ready to go. Use a mason jar if you're going to do it in the morning time. Again, water should be on the side of your bed at all times so you can stay hydrated. And then your wind down routine, you can do the Epsom salt. Now this one right here is not going to energize you to the point where you want to go run a marathon. This one here is the detoxifier and the energizer, and it's ginger and clay. And I like this one because it pulls out the impurities out of your body. And so when you do your bath water, if you can tolerate it, make it as hot as possible because that'll allow you to sweat, but it also allows the Epsom salt to pull out the impurities, and your kidney and your liver will love it, and you will be so incredibly relaxed. And then add in some bubbles just so it's like spa night for you. Don't get into the habit of making everything so routine. And if you have to make it routine, then make it where it is super duper over the top, much too much. That's how you should be living your life, much too much. Okay, just because when you get into the routine, then that's when you start slacking on stuff. So if you know you're going to take a bath, you know you're going to take a shower, well, make it a luxurious bath, a luxurious shower. Just much too much. Just make it all like you're going to a day spa. Now, you do have to exercise. But you don't have to do the weights like I showed you. You don't have to do the total gym like I've been showing you. You guys can do soccer. You don't have to be a certain age to do soccer. You can get out there with your kids. You can get out there with your family members, kick the ball around, run around. Somebody's kicking the ball. You're stretching to go catch it. You just want to get moving. Okay, so say you say, well, that's a little too much. I got to work up to that one. Go and get you some tennis rackets and get a friend and go on a court that has doubles so you and your family can play at the same time. Don't go get a sport or an exercise where it's just you, because you want to push yourself. You want to enjoy yourself. You want to move. When your body, let me tell y'all something. When you do the same thing day in, day out, your body gets used to it. And this is when people start seeing a plateau. That's why you shouldn't do the same exercise all the time. Mix it up. Always challenge yourself, even with your foods. Don't eat the same things all the time. Challenge yourself. Eat a plethora of different things. Let your palate taste different foods, different seasons. Don't eat the same thing all the time. Now, here's another one that I wanted to share with you guys, and I want to make sure that I'm staying on time. Let me check this out. Okay, so part of I skipped this one, I almost forgot. Your nighttime routine. When you go to sleep, your room should be at a 68 degrees. There are going to be times, I'm in Maryland, we've been in the 29 degrees and less. It's just too much. It's much too much. So what you want to do is be cool but warm at the same time. Because if it's freezing, that 68 degrees is getting knocked out and you blasting that heat. But keep in mind, the hotter you are, it could cause challenges. And one of them, I have to watch it because my youngest one, his nasal passages will get super dry and then he'll end up with nosebleeds. So this is the importance of keeping moisture in your room and not having it super, super dry. So I showed you that pillow is because if you have it super dry and now you're sleeping on cotton, you got it super hot is what I meant to say. It's super hot and then you're sleeping on cotton. Cotton isn't forgivable. Cotton is going to make you even more hot. And then on top of that, it's going to dry your skin out because it's going to suck out the moisture. Y'all wake up in the morning time and you got creases here and creases there and all that. You can see how you were sleeping. You don't want to be on cotton sheets. But if you got them, I'm not telling you to get rid of them. But what I'm saying is try and change one or two things before you go and spend a lot of unnecessary money. And here's the two things that you could do. You could sleep with a satin cap because when you sleep with a pillowcase that's cotton, it's going to pull your hair out. Try it for a week and see how your hair likes it. It's going to help you keep the moisture in your hair and it's not going to pull it out when you wake up if you're sleeping on a pillowcase with a satin cap. So now your hair is benefiting and on the satin pillowcase, your skin is going to benefit and then your entire body is going to benefit because you're going to remain cool, even if you have to turn the heat up beyond the 68 degrees. I would recommend that you don't go beyond 72. 72 is going to be too hot, but if you could do it between 62 and maybe 70, 71 on those cold days, you're going to be like in seven heaven. And then you use a satin cap and you use the satin or silk cap and or pillowcase. That's going to help you to stay cool. Now, here's a tip, and the reason I say this, same thing I tell you guys, keep a journal. So what I have been doing the last couple of days is I've been doing the bone broth. I started the intermittent fasting and I do it from the time I wake up, and I usually get up about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then I don't eat until 12. I'm doing the bone broth. The bone broth keeps me full. I'm not hungry, and I'm not joking just because I want y'all to try something. You try it for one day. This is bone broth, chicken bone broth. You don't want anything else other than the one that says bone broth. If you got a Costco, you can go in there and you will see the chicken bone broth. You can make it yourself. It's a lot of work. I don't want to be bothered with it. You're just taking the parts off the chicken and you're sticking it all in your crock pot. You're getting your onions, you're getting your garlic, you're getting your carrots, you're getting your celery, and then you're putting your water in there. You season it too much. I don't want to do that. So I do the bone broth from the time I wake up until 12 noon. And then before I eat a solid meal, I am doing my greens, my beets, and my B12 shot. Now, if you notice that before you're doing all of this, because you want to note in your journal when you're implementing things, did it work, did it not work? Because you don't want to keep doing something, trying to force your body to do something. Your body is just as stubborn as you are. When you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. So don't try to force your body to do it. Just take note, it worked, it didn't work, or I can tweak it and it worked that way. Does that make sense? Okay, so when I get up, I'm eating at 12. That's the time frame that I said I wanted to eat. And then I'm stopping eating between 4:30 and 5. But my first meal, I'm doing my greens, I'm doing my beets, and I'm doing my super beets. Now, when I said the implementation of the items that I'm talking about. If you're noticing that you were super tired walking up 12 flights of steps, or 12 steps, 13 steps, 12 flights of steps is a lot, but something small. So something small like 13 steps, or walking from your house to your mailbox, you're super duper out of breath. That is not you just being tired or you just didn't get enough sleep. That sounds more like you need to go make an appointment with your doctor so that they can do an MRI to check to see if you have any blood vessels going to your heart that's blocked. Because you shouldn't be that tired walking up 13 steps or going from the stoop of your house to your mailbox. Even if it's a mile long, you shouldn't be so exhausted that you felt like you ran a marathon. That's something totally different. Normal wear and tear on your body, and you're not getting enough sleep, you're not giving your body the nutrients that it needs. That's the level that I'm talking about. But also what I want to share, that a lot of times I don't even want to take pill in a pill form. So that's why I do. And I don't feel like doing vegetables. I'm gonna be honest. We all don't feel like we have those days. I just don't feel like it. But you need to do it. So make it where on those days where I don't feel like a salad, I don't feel like greens, broccoli, carrots, Brussels sprouts. I don't feel like taking the pills. And then I'm gonna tell y'all, don't do this one. Take the pill, crush it up. I have people do that, and then they want to put it in something, or they take it with some water. It's going to leave a nasty aftertaste on your taste buds, and you're going to regret it. So this is why I want to suggest to you all getting the liquid B12 shots, because not only does it have all of the B family in it, it's got the other vitamins in it, but in a liquid form. So if you take a pill nutrient, you're going to jack your stomach up. You're not going to like it. You're actually going to get sick. And that's not how we want to start your day. Because remember I said, if your night is right, your day is better. So I showed you and I explained to you what you need to do to get to the point where your night is going to be good so you can sleep well. And that is making sure that, because I'm going to your last meal and then I'm going to go around so y'all get it. Your last meal is half of what you had for lunch. You're doing your bone broth instead of eating anything processed. So when you go to bed, you're not hungry, you're comfortable, and your stomach does not have anything heavy on it. You've taken yourself a nice hot bath where you are totally warm and just feeling good about relaxing. Because when you hit this pillow that should have a silk or a satin pillowcase on it, you should be going to bed within about 5 minutes. And then you also want to have a satin cap on your head so your hair is not being pulled out. I switched to that because, as y'all seen a lot of my segments, my hair was always on top of my head, and then on top of that I was going to sleep with my hair on top of my head, and then I started having headaches, and I was trying to figure what, so I started journalizing. My hair was getting tired of being stuck up on top of my head, so I started wearing it down. Guess what? And I still do the ponytails, but they're loose. My head is singing hallelujah because I'm not pulling it, and my hair basically it was coming out, and I was like, oh no. And then it just, after I started wearing it straight, and I didn't put a perm in it. You don't have to put a perm in it. You can wash it, take a flat iron or blow dry if you're good at it, and then wear it like that. It has done so much. It's just like, oh my God, the shedding stopped, the headache stopped. My head looks and feels better. So when you go to sleep, if you can't, 68 degrees, you're like, don't go any further than 71, 72, because you don't want it to be too hot. And the example I gave you guys, when my son makes it too hot, and he'll go get a personal heater, which I hate, but he waits till I go to sleep and then he does it. But it's too much for him. His nasal passages get super, super dry, and then he has nosebleeds. So you don't want to do that. It makes your skin dry. It dries your hair out. It's no different than the harsh winters. So just don't do that. 68 to 72, satin cap, silk on your head as well as your pillowcase, you're good to go. And you've taken a nice Epsom salt bath to really wind yourself down. Okay, now morning has come. You are drinking water and bone broth to 12 noon. And then your first meal should be some vegetables And that's why I said a lot of people are like, I don't want to do all the heavy stuff. And I don't, because I feel so good and I don't want the heavy stuff. So that's why I'm doing the freeze-dried vegetables in a powder form. And I'm doing the beets because I'm giving myself oxygen to flow through the body. And then I'm doing the B12 so that I'm getting the B12 shot because it has more than just B12s in it. So I can get my nutrients. So then, like I said, you could do oatmeal at any time of the day. You don't necessarily have to do store brand. You could go to the store brand to get suggestions on what you're interested in. And I am telling you to make it yourself because they add in additional sugars and the carbohydrates are too high. So you want to have your carbohydrates, and you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to say, okay, when I eat this portion of carbohydrates was at 25 grams. And you can get a carb counter. They have apps for that. 25 grams, did I feel good or did I feel really super sluggish and sleepy? So for me, 15 to 20, my body is like, that's a sweet spot. If I go beyond that, and I'm talking for the day, 15 to 20 grams throughout the day, then that's just too much for me. So I don't even play around with that. So you have to tweak that yourself because everybody's going to be different. That's why I said go to the website so we can get you guys a game plan because each of the consultations are going to be different. It's not the same for everybody because everybody's body is different. And so we want you to meet, exceed, and maintain your health and wellness goals. So this is why we have these simple tips and strategies that you guys can pick and then implement them in your life. Don't just take my word for it. When you pick suggestions that I'm saying and you implement them in your life, you really need to jot them down. And it don't have to be a whole week. A lot of times you can implement stuff in a day and your body's like, I do not like it, and it rejects it. Don't force your body. But I'm telling you, intermittent fasting and then you eat whole, fresh foods, now that is what your body likes. I don't care, across the board. Now that one will work for everybody. But while intermittent fasting hasn't worked for everybody, it's because they get hungry in between. So you could do water and you could do the bone broth, and then intermittent fasting and be like, what? Drop the mic. Yep, I'm telling you. So if you could do the 21-day challenge, you will be at 7 heaven. But try it for one day to see if you like it. And I've given you options on how you can implement all of this into your life. So I'm Sandy White, your #1 health and wellness cheerleader and the host of Simply Fit. We broadcast every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time on wytv7's platform. Check out all of the wonderful things that we're doing in the community. Make sure you sign up for your free consultation or send it to someone else as a gift. They may be interested in if you're like, hey, I got this, okay? But just know I'm here to serve you guys to make sure that you have an accountability partner so you could keep having the life that you want. We're asking you guys this year to try to improve in every area of your life. You don't want to do it all at one time, but you can do one step at a time. We got 12 months in a year. So you could do something every week or you could do something every month. But you need to be doing something different because if you're doing the same thing that you did last year, you're going to get the same results. So we want to tweak what you were doing or we want to totally change it, but we want to make it where it's natural. All right, guys. So this whole segment has been if your night is right, your day will be better. Until next week, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Mwah.